Joe Vardon covering the NBA for The Athletic. He was at the Lakers-Mavs game last night, joining us from Dallas. How would you describe the atmosphere, Joe?
Well, I've been to a few reunion games, including Klay Thompson's as a member of the Mavericks at Golden State this year. And I've never seen anything like this. There really wasn't a boo to be heard, and the Lakers always get booed on the road. But every time that Luka had the ball, there was a roar. Every time he scored, it was louder. Now, at the same time, there was an incredible sense of negativity and frustration and anger in the form of when either team was at the foul line, fans are chanting, "Fire Nico," for general manager Nico Harrison, who made this trade. So yeah, I mean, LeBron's talking about this afterwards. I mean, if you think about all the reunion games that he's been a part of and how emotional they were for different reasons, he was saying that it was a cool moment that he'll remember for the rest of his life.
What kind of message do you think Luka wanted to send last night?
I think that Luka is an introspective, sensitive young man, and I mean that in the best way. And I don't think he was looking to send a message. I think he was hoping to get through it.
Hmm.
And, he even said post game that when he's sitting there alone on the bench, they've already announced the other four Lakers starters, and he's sitting there by himself, and there's 20,000 people on top of him all kind of looking at him. And yes, they are looking at the video tribute that was playing before his name was called, but I really felt like it was like a case of a singular man in the arena. And he's sitting there and he's overcome with emotion. And he has to wipe his face before he can even get up. And as he walks through the Lakers after his name is called, I mean, Markieff Morris has to grab him, and LeBron hugged him the way he'd hug Bronny after a tough high school game or something. It was really incredible to see the genuine emotion that's coming out of everybody. So, Luka has all that, and then he goes out and scores 14 in the first quarter. And I think he felt a rhythm and a familiarity with the arena. I think the retribution and the payback probably comes in the future years, when he's now through this part. And that's assuming that Nico and Jason Kidd and those guys are there in the building, in future years for those games. But I think that's when Luka will be over the emotional part, and he does have a vindictive side for sure. I think that's a great observation on your part, but I just don't think he was ready to use that part of himself yet.
Was Nico Harrison made available to the media?
No. No, those days are largely over, Guys make trades all the time, and maybe they don't even speak. Very short press conferences when coaches are fired a week before the playoffs. So that's a long way to say no. He didn't address it yesterday. He was in the building, standing there in the tunnel, listening to that. I also want to bring up this point, if it's okay, about all of this. There was another superstar last night who had a reunion game, and that's Anthony Davis. He's a 10-time All-Star, however many gold medals, NBA champion. In any other case, last night is about him and playing the Lakers and playing LeBron. But of course, he's overshadowed because of the whole Luka situation.
Hmm.
But every night that he's in the arena, and he listens to his home crowd chant "Fire Nico," he knows it's not directed at him, but he also knows that the trade that brought him to town is why these fans want him gone. And as a player of his caliber, to just feel how upset everyone is, essentially that he's in the building, that's tough on him. And I think you could see that wearing on him last night too.
If you gave Mark Cuban a mulligan, does he sell the majority of his interest, ownership stake in this? And because I think he still wanted to run the basketball portion of this and maintain 27%. But if you ask him, what do you think he would say?
That's a tough question, Dan, just because Even you don't move in that kind of money. But I don't understand what billions means. Um, and so yeah, I mean I think that he achieved the financial goal that he had set out to achieve, and obviously he wanted some kind of freedom in that way, in shape. But yeah, like if he has to decide between that and then retaining control of this franchise that he built really and build it into what it was. Yeah, I mean, I see the point. I think I'm going to say he still does it because there was a reason why he made the sale, and you have to know, even if listen, when the New York Times bought the Athletic for a year plus 2 years, the two founders were still around and advising and doing this and that, but eventually, you know, ownership takes over and there's a new plan, and that's how it is with any big sale like that. So I think Mark had to know it, and you have to be able to live with those consequences, including the trading of the franchise player that you that you maneuvered to get and nurture.
Talking to Joe Vardon, he covers the NBA for The Athletic. He was at the game last night in Dallas. How threatening are the Lakers?
Yeah, I like them, because you're talking about LeBron somehow playing at A plus level, one of the best players in the league. Luka certainly is one of the best players in the league, and they play so well together. Like I kind of knew they would, and I think there is some writing somewhere that backs that up. So this isn't hindsight. Um, they're playing great, and then you trade away Anthony Davis, so you say they got smaller, but also like Jared Vanderbilt is finally healthy and he's super long, and Rui Hachimura is healthy and he's super long. So you're playing those two, and LeBron is playing a traditional four, sometimes a small five. Jackson Hayes has been okay. And then you have Austin Reeves, who is really blossomed into the scorer and the playmaker that they need. So, we always talk about experience. And that is the one bugaboo that Oklahoma City has. They've only won one playoff series, for as great as they've been the last two regular seasons. And if experience matters, you obviously have LeBron. We don't need to go over his credentials. And then you have the key representative for the Western Conference in last year's finals in Luka. So yeah, I mean they're a tough out for sure.
How threatening are the Warriors?
I mean, I hate to be a prisoner of the moment, but last night stunk. Uh, they've been tremendous since they acquired Jimmy. The trade did exactly what the organization wanted it to do. It gave Steph some breathing room. It injected some life in there, and now you're talking about them like flashing their finals and championship credentials. And then they go, and they lose to San Antonio last night on a buzzer beater. And now, if the playoffs were today, they wouldn't be in them. They'd have to play their way in via the play-in. So, when Boston got to the finals with Ime a couple years ago, in February they were in seventh place, and they rocketed up. So I don't want to say that isn't possible, but I'm always going to pump the brakes on a team that's been between sixth place and eighth or ninth for most of the year.
Who's your MVP?
My MVP is Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. And I understand the year that Nikola is having. You could certainly make the case, arguably, that statistically he's better this year than he has been in years where he's won it. Shea is the best player on the best team, and has certainly built his case in any number of ways. And then on top of that, in a year where ownership decides that the performance of the team is so objectionable that you have to fire the coach a week before the season's over, the MVP is not on your team.
But I think most analysts will say the best player on the planet is Nikola Jokic.
Yeah, I would say that.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know how many times I've voted. This is my 11th season doing this on this kind of stage. So I've had a lot of votes. I admit that I, along with most of my colleagues, struggle as to what valuable means. Are we talking about the best player? Are we talking about the team or the player who's the most important? Um, I think it comes and goes. There was a year where we voted for Russ because he averaged a triple double. There were years where LeBron didn't get it when he was obviously the best player in the league. So I think it's probably going to go that way. I don't think it'll be unanimous. Nikola is a tremendous player, but I, I think when you consider where the Nuggets are right now and the everything they're going through, and then where the Thunder are and why, I think that's the decider for me.
And I wonder about this with Joker moving forward. Who's going to be the coach and what's going to be the philosophy? He's 30 years of age. He's got a couple years left on this deal. And we had somebody on yesterday who said that he thinks he's he's like Dirk Nowitzki, like he's loyal to the franchise. But I wonder, can you see a scenario where Joker says, hey, I want out?
Well, I mean, the way the last several years have gone in the league, the short answer is of course. Did a little reporting on this last night, not talking to Nikola. He would be a hard guy to get a hold of on the phone. But people who are around that team and sort of trade in the business of knowing these things, suggest that Nikola is not looking to get out.
Okay.
And that isn't reacting to the firing of the only coach he's played for, as a kind of a how dare you thing. I think that there was some frustration on his part, too, about the direction of the team. And so, yeah, I do view Nikola as a player who does, or could anyway, stay in Denver for his entire career. I mean, I think if they get into a situation where it's clear that they are going to regress and be in the lottery for a while, I mean, that's not something anybody wants to do. But Nikola is very set in his life and what matters to him. He enjoys going back to Serbia in the summers. Not that Denver is a tiny market or whatever you want to say about it. Like it's not, but we could also easily say Nikola is not like lusting for New York or LA or Miami or anything like that. So I've always said that LeBron will end his career in Los Angeles, and I'm gonna be in the boat of Nikola's not looking to push his way out of Denver in the near future.
Great stuff. Thank you, Joe. Great to talk to you again.
Great to see you. Thanks, Dan.
That's Joe Vardon. He covers the NBA for The Athletic and spends a lot of time with the Lakers.